Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is May 15th. Gausman gets 2K strikeouts. Raleigh gets a hit. Let's talk about it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? It is May 15th. It is the middle of May here, and we're getting into the season more so every single day. Of course, we're already over a quarter of the season done, and things just continue to roll, continue to happen. Some teams are staying hot. Some teams are trying to figure it out, and that is what we'll be looking at today here as we got another week of baseball to go over. So with that being said, let's dive on into our series recap. Leading us off, we have the Phillies and the Red Sox. Kyle Schwarber gets his 17th home run of the year. That helps the Phillies to a 2-1 victory. Trevor Story, Ceddanne Rafaela both going deep for the Sox in a 3-1 victory. And in the rematch, it's Schwarber. He does it again. A 2-run homer in the 8th breaks the scoreless tie. The Phillies win it 3-1, taking 2 of 3 from Boston. The Yankees and the Orioles now. Kobe Mayo flips the script with a go-ahead 3-run homer in the 7th to give the O's the lead. They take a 3-2 victory. Paul Goldschmidt goes deep in Game 2, and later it's Trent Grisham, whose homer finishes off a 5-run third inning for the Yankees in a 6-2 victory. And in the last game, Adley Rutschman hits his 2-run homer as Kyle Bradish shoves with 7 strikeouts. Baltimore wins it 7-0, taking 2 of 3 from the Yankees. The Rays and the Blue Jays. The Rays score 5 in the first 2 innings. Andres Jimenez, his first career multi-homer game, and picks up 5 RBIs with those homers. But the Blue Jays fall short, 8-5 the final. In Game 2, the Jays are down 5, but they score 5 in the 7th. That ties the game up. We go to extras. Tampa scores 2 in the 10th. The Jays only get 1. Rays win it 7-6 in 10. And in the last game, the Rays have had the Jays number. This one is another extra innings game and another 2 runs for the Rays. But this time it's the Jays that call the game with Dalton Varsho hitting a big walk-off grand slam as the Jays salvage the series versus the Rays 5-3 Blue Jays. Marlins and Twins, Ryan Jeffers hits a 2-run homer as Bailey Ober goes complete game shutout on the Marlins, 3-0 Twins in that game. Byron Buxton gets a 2-homer game in Game 2, but Owen Casey goes deep for the Marlins, who later score 4 in the 4th, part of a 9-5 Marlins win. And in the last game, the Twins had 5 runs in the 2nd, which was already enough for the win, but they add 4 more later on in this one. 9-1 Minnesota, taking 2 of 3 from the Finns. Royals and White Sox now. Chase Maidroff hits a 3-run go-ahead home run to finish off a 5-run 5th for the White Sox, but the Royals tie it up. We go into the 8th inning where Derek Hill hits the go-ahead homer for the White Sox in the 8th inning. 6-5 White Sox, they take the game. Bobby Witt, he homers again in this series, homering in Game 1, now homers in Game 2. But Colson Montgomery also homers for the White Sox, and his homer ends up being the difference in this one. It's another 6-5 win for the White Sox, and they finish off this series as Randall Grichuk goes 2 for 3 with a homer and 4 RBIs as the White Sox get the sweep of the Royals 6-2, the final in that one. Angels and Guardians. The Guardians put this game away in the 3rd, scoring 5 runs in the inning in a 7-2 Cleveland win. And then how about Angel Martinez? He goes deep in Game 2 in a 3-2 victory, and then homers again in Game 3, part of a 4-2 victory. Cleveland sweeps the Angels. Diamondbacks and Rangers. Geraldo Perdomo gets an RBI double on the 3rd at-bat of the game, and that was the only run of this game. The D-backs win it 1-0. But how about Texas come back in the next 2 games? Jock Peterson, Ezekiel Duran both go deep in a 7-4 Rangers win. Jake Berger hits a 3-run homer in that 3rd game. The D-backs score 3 in the 9th to tie this game up and take the lead. However, the Rangers get those 3 runs back in the 9th and end up walking it off on a Danny Jansen single. 6-5 Texas, the Rangers 2 of 3 from Arizona. Cardinals and A's. Now the Cardinals open the series with a 4-run first. Later on, J.J. Weatherholt, his 8th homer of the season. 6-4 St. Louis, they take the opener. Nick Kurtz goes grand slam in Game 2 as Zach Geloff also hits a homer. The A's win it 6-2. And in the rematch, Kurtz and Geloff go deep again for the A's. But Victor Scott II hits his 2nd homer. Jordan Walker picks up his 12th. The Cardinals in the 9th get 2 runs, 1 ties it, 1 takes the lead. Cardinals hold on for a 5-4 victory, taking 2 of 3 from the A's. Mariners and Astros play for Julio knocks his 7th homer on the year off the tracks in a 3-1 Seattle win. Then Randy goes deep in Game 2. Dominic Canzone, a grand slam. The Mariners get another one. 10-2 Seattle. Game 3 is a little bit of back and forth with some homers. J.P. Crawford, Luke Raley going deep for Seattle. Christian Walker homering for the Astros. We end up going to extras with the Astros finally get a win versus the Mariners. They've lost the last 9 games straight to them, but Zach Cole wins it for the Astros. He gets the walk-off single for a much-needed Astros win. 4-3 the final in 10, but in that 4th game, Luke Raley, a 3-run homer, Mitch Garver, a 2-run shot, his first of the year. 8-3 Seattle as the Mariners take 3 of 4 from Houston in Houston. The Tigers and the Mets now. The Mets roll with 10 unanswered, all without a home run, as they score 7 runs in the last 3 innings, part of a 10-2 win. Bo Bichette singles ties the game in the 7th. We go to extras where it's Carson Benz who walks it off with the RBI single for the win. The Mets take a 3-2 victory. And in the final game, A.J. Ewing hits his first career MLB home run. Brett Beatty hits a home run that ties the game up. Mark Vientos, Juan Soto, Marcus Semien, they all go deep late in this one to blow it open a little. The Mets win it 9-4, and they pick up their first sweep of the season, the Detroit Tigers. Cubs and Braves, the 2 best teams in baseball, face off toe-to-toe. Austin Riley hits a homer in the 5th, which tied this game up. And later in the inning, it's Mike Yastrzemski picks up his first homer of the year, first as a Brave, which gives them the lead 5-2 the final in that one. Drake Baldwin, Mauricio Dubon, both homering in a 4-1 Braves victory. And in that last game, the Cubs do avoid the sweep as Ian Happ goes deep in the 8th inning, his 10th homer of the year. 2-0 Cubs for that game there. Nationals and Reds, James Wood, Luis Garcia Jr., a 2-homer game. Dalian Lyle, a 2-homer game. Brady House also goes deep. 6 total home runs for the Nationals and a 10-4 win there. In Game 2, Tyler Stevenson hits a grand slam to finish off a 5-run first inning, but the Nats immediately scored 4 in the 2nd, with Keibert Ruiz hitting a 2-run shot. They later tie this game up. We go to extras where Dalen Lyle homers again. The Reds alone get 1 run. Nats hold on to an 8-7 victory. And in that last game, it's Matt McClain, it's Dane Myers, and it's a 2-homer game from J.J. Bidet as the Reds go crazy in a 15-1 victory to avoid the sweep of the Nationals. Rockies and Pirates, Skeens dominates the Rockies for an easy Pirates win, 3-1 the final in that one. The Rockies scored 6 runs in the 5th. Mickey Moniak, TJ Rumfield, both going deep in a 10-4 Colorado win. And in the river match, Ryan O'Hearn homers for the Pirates, his 7th. The Pirates get a 6-run lead early, and they hold on to it 7-2 the final in this one, taking 2 of 3 from Colorado. Padres and Brewers, Joey Ortiz picks up his first homer of the year. The Brewers score 5 in the 4th, which ends up being the difference in a 6-4 Milwaukee win. We have a holy Sheets moment again. Gavin Sheets continues to be clutch for the Padres, win the ninth with 3-run homers. He hits another clutch go-ahead 3-run homer in the ninth. That gives the Padres the win, 3-1 the final. And for the red match, the Brewers score 3 in the first, add 3 more in the second, already enough in a 7-1 Milwaukee win. Lastly, we have the Giants and Dodgers. They play 4. Devers goes deep. Willy Adames, a 3 RBI game. Giants in control of game 1, 9-3 the final. How about Eric Haas becoming the first player to hit 2 homers off of Yamamoto in a game? Harrison Bader also goes deep off of Yamamoto. Those 3 homers helped the Giants to a 6-2 victory. But here come the Dodgers in the second half of this series. Santiago Espinal, his first homer of the year, first as a Dodger. Mookie Betts picks up his 3rd homer of the year. 4-0 LA, and in that last game, Will Smith hits a leadoff home run, batting out of the first spot. Young-Ho Lee gets an inside-the-park home run to tie this game up, but the Dodgers score 3 in the 6th. They take the lead and win it 5-2. LA and the Giants split the 4-game set 2 apiece, and that's your series recap. All right, now let's get to the game of the week. And Wednesday's day provided some action. We had 4 walk-offs in that day, including this one in Texas between Arizona and the Rangers, a little 2023 World Series rematch here. Bottom of the 5th is when we got the scoring started as Jake Burger clobbers a 3-run homer, his 7th of the year, gets Texas on the board. Top 6, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. picks up an RBI double to make it a 3-1 game. Top 7, Nolan Arenado, a sac fly, makes it a 1-run game. Going into the 9th inning, Texas looking for the save, but Arenado is there again for an RBI double, which ties this game up. And then Ildemaro Vargas gives them a 2-run lead as he picks up the 2-run single. Diamondbacks pick up 3 runs in the inning and have a 2-run lead entering the bottom of the 9th. But Texas doesn't go away quietly. Ezekiel Duran picks up an RBI double to make it a 1-run game. Then Jake Burger, who homered earlier in this game, picks up the RBI single, which ties this game up at 5. And before you're thinking extras, Danny Jansen, the walk-off single down the left field line, wins it for Texas. Diamondbacks score 3 in the 9th to come back. Texas scores 3 in the 9th to come back and win it. Danny Jansen's your hero. 6-5 the final. Walk-off win. Texas takes it and the series thanks to that win. That is your game of the week, and a good one at that. Let's get into some of the baseball news and what happened this week. The Atlanta Braves continue to be one of the teams that get talked about a whole lot this year. After last year's disappointing season, dealing with injuries and a lot of mishaps and, just things that were going wrong, the Braves have been one of the top teams this season. In fact, they've been the top team. They were the first team to reach 20 wins on the season. They are now the first team to reach 30 wins on the season, dealing with the Chicago Cubs, who were the second best team entering the beginning of this week. The Braves and Cubs faced off. The Braves took the first 2 games of this series. That second win was that 30th win of the year. Cubs avoid the sweep. They win that last game, but the Braves are 30-14. The Cubs 28-16. So the Braves, the better team in this situation as of right now. And you can go off of the pitching and how dominant Sale's been and some of these other guys. Obviously Acuna was at the start of the season. He was looking pretty good. He's fallen on the IL. But it's really been some of the resurgence of some of the guys who were hurt last year or just weren't playing up to potential. Austin Riley is one of those names that comes to my mind. He definitely didn't have a great year when he was healthy last year. But another guy who's just been really popping off has been Matt Olson. Matt Olson last year, you go back from, 2023 or 2024, where he hit 50-something home runs. Last year, he was very good, but not to the point of the Matt Olson that, was very impressive when he was with the Braves. that year. You go back, it was 2023 where he clobbered 54 home runs. He had a 993 OPS. The following year in 2024, it jumped from 54 down to 29 home runs. His OPS went from 993 to 790. And then last year, he had the same amount of home runs with 29, but his OPS jumped from 790 to 850. So he kind of did start to figure things out. Already so far this year, he has 14 home runs. It's almost pretty much half of what he did the last 2 years of 29. And he's done it in 44 games. Of course, Matt Olson, Mr. Ironman, he has not missed a game since 2021, playing in 162 games since joining the Braves in 2022, 2023, 2024, and now 2025. He's looking for a fifth straight year of playing in every single game. He's been off to a great start. Ozzy Albies has been playing brilliant. Drake Baldwin coming off the Rookie of the Year. He's been a fantastic player this year so far. So a lot of things have been clicking for the Braves. And even with some of the injuries that they are dealing with, it helps obviously that the Phillies, Mets, two of their big competitors that we kind of saw, going into the year, both have struggled early on. Nationals and Marlins have both been playing pretty well, but their pretty well is still sitting about just under 500 here. The Braves have a 9-game lead of their division, and they are doing very well in plus 91 run differential. And as of right now, they are the team to beat. They handled the Dodgers in a series. They now handle the Cubs. And you start to wonder, is anyone going to be able to beat the Atlanta Braves? Yes, it is still early, but they have been a very good ball club. So watch out for them as the season progresses, and they will be a team that we continue to keep our eyes on. Moving on here, we had a little bit of history here. Kevin Gausman has reached the 2,000 strikeout mark. It's something that you don't see every day. It was actually pretty cool because I actually got to see it live and in person when he got that feat. He is the current 6th active pitcher to do so. He joins the likes of Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, Garrett Cole, and Yu Darvish. Funny enough, 4 of those guys are all on the IL. The only one who's actually still pitching right now is Chris Sale. Scherzer, Verlander, Cole, and Darvish all on the IL, some of which won't be coming back until later this year, some of which won't be coming back at all this season. But Kevin Gausman, you got to think, this guy's been around the league since 2013. And remember, for those first 7-ish years of his career, you can go his 14-year career, you can split it into 2 halves: the forgotten era and the era of Kevin Gausman dominance. When he came up with Baltimore in 2013, he was good. He spent 6 years there in 13 to 18. But when I say good, I'm not talking all-star good. I'm talking about, third man of the rotation, fourth man of the rotation good. Getting to about a 3.6 ERA, a 4.2 ERA, nothing crazy. Then in 18, of course, he got traded to Atlanta, where he spent basically a full year. He spent the second half of 18 and then the first half of 19 with the Braves there before he got traded to the Reds that year, where the Reds decided to use him out of the bullpen. In 15 games, he made 1 start, 22 in a third innings, and he picked up 29 strikeouts in that time with the Reds. But then you got to COVID. He signed a deal with the Giants. And that first year at the Giants, even though it was COVID, it looked promising. He pitched in 12 games to a 3.62 ERA, picking up 79 strikeouts. But then that second year is where Kevin Gausman finally broke out. After 8 years, basically, 7 years, 8 years, pitching in the majors, he finally broke out in 2021 with the Giants, to a 5.2 WAR, career high in WAR that year, 14-6 record, a 2.81 ERA, made 33 starts, 192 innings, and struck out 227 batters. It was an amazing year for him, and then signed the 5-year deal with the Blue Jays. And so far in those 5 years, that is the Kevin Gausman that we've seen dominance from each and every single year. He's made 31 starts or 32 starts every single year. He's been healthy. He's been pitching. His ERA in those 5 years, 3.35, 3.16, 3.83, 3.59. Consistently very, very good. His win-loss record has always been more wins than losses, and his strikeout numbers have jumped. That first year, his last year with the Giants in 2021, he picked 227 strikeouts. That was the first year he got over 200 strikeouts. Then with the Blue Jays, 205, 237 in 2023, his second All-Star appearance that year, 162 and 189. So a couple of downer years after those 3 straight years of 200-plus strikeout years. So far this year, he's picked up 48 Ks throughout his 9 starts to a 3.86 ERA. But again, Baltimore, he spent 6 years there. He got 697 strikeouts. His 2 years with the Giants, he got 306 strikeouts. The Braves, in that year and a half, basically, or year that he spent with the Braves, he pitched 100. He got 129 strikeouts. But so far, in 4.5 years, or 4 years and the month that we've done so far this season is 9 starts, he's pitched 841 strikeouts with the Blue Jays. He's been so much more dominant in his back half here of his career. But it is a phenomenal career. Kevin Gausman, a great pitcher. You could say he's been one of, if not like the top 3 pitchers since this decade in 2020s. From 2020 to 2026, I mean, so far this year's, in his time with the Giants and so far with the Blue Jays, he's got a 3.39 ERA. He has 1,147 strikeouts. Like, he's just been so dang good. Kevin Gausman, a very great pitcher, very deserving of that 2,000 strikeout mark that he was able to reach this week. And again, it was really cool for me to be there in the crowd. So just giving some love to Mr. Kevin Gausman. Moving on here, let's talk Alek Thomas. Once Diamondback legend, he has been traded to the Dodgers after being DFA'd by the Diamondbacks about last week, and then this week did get traded to the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks in return are picking up a 17-year-old prospect from the Dodgers. I really thought Alek Thomas was going to figure it out one day. He was one of those prospects that I was pretty high on when he was coming up from the minors. I kind of liked him in MLB The Show, and just you follow him from since then. In 2022, I mean, he, wasn't anything crazy. He picked up 8 homers. He had a 231 batting average, a 619 OPS, and I always thought he was going to find that moment and have that time. Of course, most notably for Game 4 of the NLCS from the Diamondbacks and the Phillies in 2023, he hit a 2-run game-tying homer for the Diamondbacks in that game that tied this series, because afterwards Diamondbacks took the lead in that inning. They then later won that game. You had the whole snakes alive thing that was going on with the Diamondbacks, and that was a big part of it. And I always thought Thomas, if he got proper playing time, would definitely figure things out. But so far in his 5-year career with Diamondbacks, he has a 2.6 WAR, 1,377 at-bats with 317 hits. He has 31 home runs, a career 230 batting average, and a 634 OPS. Nothing that screams out of this world. 2025, last year, was his first kind of big sample size year. Got 143 games under his belt, but only picked up 108 hits, only hit 9 home runs, 38 RBIs. Did have a 250 batting average, but was striking out plenty of times, 122 Ks. He finished with a 659 OPS that year. And so far through 28 games this year, it's been nothing short of just below average. I mean, he had a 563 OPS, a 181 batting average, only 2 home runs thus far. Nothing that warrants being kept around. Obviously, I think he was a fan favorite there for Arizona. Let me know, Diamondback fans, if you're listening to this. But he is going to be one of those players that I'm going to continue to root for, and hopefully he's going to get his chances. Obviously, the Dodgers are a very good team, and obviously he's not going to be there just yet, but they know what he is capable of. I believe it, and Dodgers have this knack of turning players into really great players, and I think, like I said, I think Thomas always had that level to be a really, really great player. He's got good defense, great speed, Just never was able to figure out the bat with Arizona. Maybe a change of scenery will help him. It sucks that it did go to the Dodgers because, of course, how can you root for the Dodgers? But a guy like Alek Thomas, you just want to root for, and hopefully he'll figure it out and continue to be a major leaguer in our game, because that is what Alek Thomas, I believe, deserves. Because again, I think he is a great ball player. He just needs to figure out the stick a little bit, figure out to make some contact. And speaking of making some contact, we had the last little bit of news to talk about here. Throughout these episodes that I kind of never really mentioned, Cal Raleigh. I mean, I mentioned him in the hot and colds. He is cold. He's been ice cold. He has not been getting his hits. He was 0 for 38. That is the most we've ever seen since Chris Davis back in, I believe, 2018, when he was like 0 for 52, 0 for 56, something like that. Raleigh was getting to that kind of close mark that Davis was on here. Luckily, over the week here against the Astros, he did finally snap out of it. 0 for 38, 1 for 39. It's a hit that he needed to get here. And listen, I was number one on Cal Raleigh is not going to repeat 60 homers. It was just not going to happen. You look at his numbers, leading up to 2025. He's been a great catcher since 2022. 3.9 WAR, 3.4, 4.6. Hitting 27, 30, 34 home runs, always getting better. But then drops that 60 home run season, 125 RBIs, and 948 OPS. 7.4 WAR as a switch hitting catcher, played in 159 games. There was no way he was going to repeat that. And we are right about that, but I did not expect the drop-off that he's been getting. So far in the 41 games, he's 26 for 161. He's batting 161 with a 560 OPS, only 7 home runs to his name, 18 RBIs. It's been a real struggle street for Cal Raleigh. Hopefully he's able to figure it out a little bit here. But one thing that could be, going into that and why he's been struggling so much is maybe because of a nagging injury, which brings us to our injury updates from the week here. The first one being Cal Raleigh. After he snapped that 0 for 38, the Mariners the next day put him on the IL, the 10-day, with a strained oblique. So I think that's important for Cal to, take the time, get healthy, get right, and then come back with a vengeance and become that Cal Raleigh that we kind of saw last year a little bit. Another name here, Addison Barger. I feel really bad for Barger because he was on the 10-day IL, got healthy, played in one game. He threw out a runner from right field. I mentioned that, I believe, in the last episode. 101.2 miles an hour, an absolute cannon, and then landed back on the 10-day IL with elbow inflammation. Played one game between his IL stints. Very unfortunate for him. Baltimore rookie Dylan Beavers, 10-day IL with a strained oblique. Sean Murphy on the 10-day IL for the Braves with a fractured left middle finger. He's expected to miss at least 8 weeks. That's a little bit unfortunate for the Braves, who traded Jonah Heim to the A's. Now they're needing of a catcher again, but Drake Baldwin's been very good for them. They also lose Eli White on the 7-day concussion IL, so a little stint there for Mr. Eli White, who's had a nice start to the season. Jose Caballero for the Yankees on the 10-day IL with a fractured finger. Jacob Wilson from the Athletics. That always sucks. I like Jacob Wilson. He lands on the 10-day IL with a shoulder subluxation. Francisco Alvarez always finds a way to end up on the IL at some point. He's on the 10-day IL after knee surgery. He's expected to miss at least 6 to 8 weeks. So once again, the Mets lose their catcher, Drew Pomeranz from the Angels, 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your injury updates from this week. As we'll take a look now at our outstanding performances from the week here. How many times do I say the week? Mike Soroka leads it off, 6 1/3, 3 hits, no runs, a walk, 5 Ks. Zach Wheeler dominant, 7 1/3, 6 hits, 1 run, no walks, 4 Ks. Shane McClanahan, 5 innings, only 1 hit, no runs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. Bailey Ober, with one of the best starts we've had all season long, goes complete game shutout. 9 innings, only 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 7 Ks. Just brilliance from Bailey Ober. Mackenzie Gore from Texas, 8 innings, 3 hits, a run, a walk, and 5 Ks. Paul Skeens was dominant, 8 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 Ks. Sonny Gray, 6 innings, 2 hits, a run, a walk, and 6 Ks. Kyle Bradish, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 3 walks, and 7 Ks against the Yankees. Dylan Cease keeps churning out nice starts, 7 innings, 3 hits, a run, 3 walks, 9 Ks. Jacob Mizorowski continues to be utter dominant for the Brewers, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, while striking out 10. Shohei continues his Cy Young pace here with 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. I think it's safe to say he's been the best pitcher this year, which is just Shohei being Shohei. Ranger Suarez against his former team, 5 1/3, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, while striking out 8. Zebby Matthews, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, and 5 Ks. Kyle Harrison, 5 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. And lastly, Chase Burns, 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 7 Ks. That is your outstanding performances. That now brings us to our stat leaderboard. Taking a look at the updated standings here, the updated stats here. New leader in average as Ildemaro Vargas has kind of slowed down a little bit. Brandon Marsh takes over, batting .340. So Brandon Marsh, hey, that's a name there for the Phillies. Leading the league in hits is still Otto Lopez. He is at .258. We have a new leader in the home run step aside judge. It is Kyle Schwarber's time. He's been hot. He hits 2 more this series against the Red Sox. He's up to 18 on the year. Liam Hicks is still leading it for the Marlins. He's got 38 RBIs there. Drake Baldwin was leading it in runs. Matt Olson took it over for a little bit, but he is back. Baldwin is with 37 runs there. Nick Kurtz, Mike Trout, 2 guys have been kind of leading it in walks. It is now Taylor Ward from the Baltimore Orioles. He's got 42 walks on this season, leads the league there. Nazman Nunez and Jose Ramirez were tied in stolen bases. They are still tied in stolen bases. They went from 14 to 18 this week. 18 is now the number to beat. Ben Rice led the league in OPS, still does, but it dropped from 1.2 to now 1.080. That is the Ben Rice show there. Aaron Ashby stands alone in wins with 7 on the season. He is once again, he's been kind of leading it either tied or solo for a while now. Shohei continues to lower his ERA and still leads that with 0.82. Jacob Mizorowski, after a couple of nice starts, he's up to 80 strikeouts on this season. 2 or 3 more, and he's going to be at 100 real quick. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2 more. And then saves, Mason Miller and Riley O'Brien were tied. They still are tied, and they add Kate Smith to the battle. All 3 of them are at 13 saves on the season. They lead the league, and that is your stat leaderboard, which now brings us to our upcoming series for the week, and you're going to enjoy this because the MLB rivalry weekend returns. That's right. This was something that they did last year, I believe, is the first year that they did it. This is the second time that rivalry weekend is happening, which is basically based off of, I guess, geological locations and the 2 teams that are closest together, and that is what it is. So it's going to be a weekend of some rivals going at it head-to-head here. Starting off with the battle in Florida, the Marlins will take on the Rays. The Blue Jays are in Detroit to take on the Tigers. 2 teams in Ohio, Reds and Guardians. Cleveland, Cincinnati, they go at it. You got Brewers at Twins. You have the Battle of Chicago, the Cubs at the White Sox. You got the Battle of LA, the Dodgers at the Angels. You have the Vedder Cup, Padres at Mariners. I was going to call it the Bay Bridge series, but that's not the case anymore. However, the Giants and A's still play there. You got the Battle of Texas with the Rangers and the Astros. Baltimore, the Oilers are taking it on the Nationals. You got Red Sox at Braves. You've got New York Yankees and the Mets. Soto and Judge back at it, battling it out as per usual. I was going to say the poop series, but with the scoreboard changes, that doesn't happen much anymore. Phillies and Pirates, Royals and Cardinals, and that leaves us with the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. So some really fun series happening this weekend. The rivalry weekend. At first, I wasn't crazy about it, and I mean, there's nothing much else to it besides just really good series. But there's a lot of really good and fun series that go down when this happens. So I'm excited. Regardless, that leaves us now with our playoff predictor. If the season ended today, who would win the World Series? You're going to like this one because the 6-seeded Mariners take on the 3-seeded A's, and your 5-seeded Chicago White Sox take on the 4-seeded Yankees. The White Sox are in a playoff predictor, and I can almost confidently say this is the first time ever in the middle of the order history that the White Sox are in a playoff predictor. And I don't care if they're facing the Yankees. The White Sox are winning, baby. They're going on to the ALDS, as with the Athletics as they beat the Mariners. So we have A's at Guardians, White Sox at Rays. That is where the White Sox run, unfortunately, comes to an end. The Guardians, the 2 seed, they beat the A's. The Rays, the 1 seed, beat the White Sox. So the ALCS matchup, Guardians at Rays. I feel like this is always a wild card matchup, and yet here we are as a championship series matchup to which the Guardians will beat the Rays at. So we go to the NL side. The Padres in the 6 seed take on the Dodgers in the 3 seed for a wild card series. God, this series would be so good. 5-seeded Cardinals taking on the 4-seeded Brewers. We got a little NL West battle and a little bit of NL Central battle. Padres defeat the Dodgers. Brewers defeat the Cardinals. So our NLDS matchups are the Padres at the Cubs, who are the 2 seed, while the Brewers get the Braves, who are the 1 seed. And of course, the Braves beat the Brewers. The Cubs beat the Padres. So we have a Cubs and Braves NLCS matchup. Of course, these 2 teams just played this week, which means the Braves would beat the Cubs in this series as they did in this week's series. So our World Series matchup would be the Cleveland Guardians and the Atlanta Braves. And of course, the team that is up to 30 wins on the year and has been so dominant so far this season would be your 2026 World Series champions. Give it up for your Atlanta Braves. They are the team to beat right now. And will anyone get in their way? That is what we're going to have to find out as the season continues. Of course, it is still early, and this is where today's episode ends today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning on in. I appreciate you all. We got halfway through the month of May, still another half to go. And then sooner or later, we're talking about the All-Star break, and that brings us to the trade deadline. And next thing you know, it's pennant chases, and it's trying to clinch postseason berths. It's still early, but if you're a team on the outside looking in, you got to start turning it on a little bit, because sooner or later, we're going to be halfway through the season. And at that point, you're going to need a lot of luck going on your side. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you on Monday.